daughters, they call me every week. Every week. I'm so proud of that. To ask for my Netflix password. And I get on my phone, I'm like, hey, the password is, would it kill you? Would it kill you to call just to say hello? And they're like, is that a capital W in wood? Daddy, love you, bye. So my Gen Z daughters are also a trip. And by that I mean, they've taught me a lot about psychedelics. They were into everything. They're like, Daddy, we had a friend who had a bad acid trip and suffered something called ego death. Have y'all heard of this? He has. Thank you, Mr. National. The first baseman, everybody. He's heard of ego. Let's win it this year. So, I never heard of ego death, unlike the Nats fan over here. So, I'm like, ego death. Girls, that doesn't sound that bad. Like, that happens to Daddy every night on stage. So, what are you talking about? Including maybe tonight, we'll see. So, I try to navigate the gender and sexual fluidity of Gen Z. You know what I mean? And I think I'm doing pretty good for a boomer. Like, I summoned all my courage, and I, sucked in my gut, and I came out to my Gen Z daughters as straight. Okay? And they're like, that is so boring. Daddy, couldn't you at least be bi? Just at least? Like, Daddy, if you were born in our generation, do you think you might be bi? I'm like, girls, I don't know how to answer that. Daddy doesn't even know how the Roku works. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's start with that and we'll work our way up. But I do know how Alexa works. Simple, you talk to her. So I'm like, hey, Alexa, how would I identify sexually if I was born in the second Bush administration? And she's like, I have nothing for you on that, but I'm always learning. I'm like, learn this, Alexa. That was of no help. Thank you. I'm a linguistics person. I like language. I'm fascinated by language. And Gen Z has this term, low-key. Everything's low-key. Adjective, it means, as far as I can tell, somewhat. Right? And I'm all for that. I'm all for the usage like that. But I worry what happens when they grow up to be high school history teachers. You can imagine, it's like, in 1963, John F. Kennedy was low-key assassinated. Class, when John McCain was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, he was low-key tortured. We low-key dropped some bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was not a big deal. Get over it. The Middle Ages were low-key dark, Woo! And I'm like, those things seem pretty high-key to me, y'all. So, I am middle-aged, and here's something that annoys me. Tell me if you feel me on this, other middle-aged people. Do your parents still treat you like a kid? Yeah. He says yes, you say maybe. Mine do, right? Mom is 88. She calls me 7 times a day to check up on her little boy. 7 times a day. And I love her. And I want to talk to Mom. But now when she calls, my smartphone says, scam likely. I'm like, thanks a lot, Mom. Now I don't know whether it's you or some dude telling me there's an outstanding warrant for my arrest. Thank you so much. Dad is no better. When I bought the motorcycle, at age 50, he calls me up and he goes, Walt, your mother and I were talking it over. And we've decided we're against your riding that motorcycle. But we also think, son, that you're old enough to make your own decision. Old enough to make my own decision? Dude, I'm old enough for estate planning. What are you talking about? I just reserved 2 plots at the Hebrew Gardens. So anyway, I thank Dad for respecting my maturity and independence. And I asked him for $50 for gas. Is that? So, Dad was a hero to me. He was a reporter for Reuters news service in the 60s. Yeah, Reuters! Any Associated Press fans? Good. We're done with that portion of the show. The wire service ranking portion of the show. So now I can get on with the story. So Dad would chase President Lyndon Johnson across the White House lawn while LBJ was walking his two beagles to shout questions at him. Hey, Mr. President! You know, that was inspiring to me. So I became a broadcast journalist when I grew up, and I chased, swear to God, Dick Cheney across the White House lawn when he was walking George W. Bush. Isn't that great? Can we stop here, Vice? God damn it. George, such a pain in the tuchus. So, I think you agree that things have changed since the old days, and nothing more, I believe, than restroom signs. Yeah, they're a little confusing to me, and maybe not for the reason you think. So we're used to this one, right? That's from the old days. We've seen this one now. We support that, right? The gender neutral, correct? Yeah. I support that. But tell me, what the hell is this? This is a newfangled sign. It's a dude climbing over the partition to watch a woman doing her business. So I guess now there's a restroom for perverts. We used to call that the men's room. Finally, I saw this one up in New York doing comedy. This is a really mean sign to put up in a restaurant with 2 stalls and 200 tables. You feel me? And to me, this says, I don't care what gender the room is, I gotta pee. Yeah. So I want to close on this. My daughters gave me many gifts, and one of them was turning me on to Hamilton the musical. Good, we have some fans. Okay, so I loved it, and I was so inspired. When I see something I want to replicate it, I wanted to write my own Lin-Manuel Miranda-style musical about a historical figure, set it to rap, but I couldn't find one because all the historical figures, all the good ones were taken, except our 13th president, Millard Fillmore. So my daughter said, Daddy, don't do that. I'm like, no. I'm doing a demo for Lynn so he can write it and perform it. And it went a little something like this. You ready? I am the 13th president. My ascent was heaven sent. Only punched my ticket because Zachary Taylor kicked it. I'm a soon-to-be-forgotten white guy. Might have messed up on that 1850 compromise. Now slavery's on the rise. I know they say that history will forget me, but someday a Jewish comic will come and resurrect me. But hey, I avoided civil war, eating s'mores by the shores with petty fours. Sure, it's too much to endure. I'm exquisitely obscure. And tell me what's it all for? My name is Millard Fillmore. Thank you.